Thank you for tuning in to Newsbury Port News 5. Today, Washington took presidential oath.
Yes, it was not even close. Washington won with 69 electoral votes. Behind Washington, John Adams, who most recently served as the first U.S. ambassador to Great Britain, finished with 34 electoral votes and became the first vice president.
On April 30th, 1789, in Federal Halls in New York City, the first capital of the United States of America, Washington took presidential oath of the office. George Washington really did not want to become president in the first place.
However, Washington was both an obvious first choice for president and the only truly viable choice. He was both a national hero and the favorite son of Virginia.
But what is more impressive is how Washington's campaign cost $0 because there was no public campaigning.
George Washington is also going to give his inaugural address. What do you think Washington is going to talk about? I think foreign affairs.
I think Washington is going to talk about how to pay the nation's debts off. Anyways, that's the latest on George Washington's inauguration. Once again, thank you for tuning in.
Now let us talk about Washington's cabinet. The cabinet is the first book to explain the extra-legal creation of the president's advisory body in response to the threats facing Washington in his first administration.
George Washington chose a cabinet that included members from different regions of the country. When Washington signed the Judiciary Act of 1789, he not only created the first federal judiciary, but also founded the office of Attorney General.
George Washington tried to avoid being biased to the best of his ability. What a great man.
Why did he create the cabinet, you might ask? President George Washington created the cabinet to provide support when he faced with constitutional dilemmas, domestic insurrections, and international crises.
George Washington's cabinet included 4 original members: Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson, the Secretary of Treasury Alexander Hamilton, and the Secretary of War Henry Knox, and Attorney General Edmund Randolph.
This is not confirmed, but I think Thomas Jefferson might quit. He seems very unhappy.
However, that concludes the latest news about the cabinet.
Now we're going to talk about what our country has been dealing with, all the countryways in Europe, and if we're going to get involved with these issues overseas.
So, as you may know or not know, over in France, King Louis XIV and the French are sort of revolting some of the surrounding nations in the area.
Right now, they are fighting countries such as Austria and Prussia, and have declared war on nations such as England, Holland, and even Spain.
Since they are fighting all of these nations currently, the French minister, Edmond Genet, had arrived in our country and asked if we could send some reinforcements over to Europe to meet their needs.
This has been because back in 1778, we have signed the Treaty of Alliance, which solidified our alliances with French, making them think that we would help them if we were in the middle of war, like they have helped us during the American Revolution.
George Washington and his cabinet members would then go on to create the Neutrality Proclamation. This would go on to state that we would not take part in these foreign affairs like the French Revolution.
The people of our nation have been very upset with this proclamation, as they wanted to go help France, like they have helped us, saying that the French has a good reason for us to go support them. I really think this is unfair.
Our nation will go on to state that even though we are allies with the French under the Treaty of Alliance, Hamilton told sources that this treaty was made for us to defend one another and to not get involved if they are attacking other nations.
Going on to say that we need to worry about our financial situation right now, and make sure we are a stable nation before we go overseas to get involved in other foreign affairs.
So, as of now, that is our nation's stance on the issue over in Europe.
Today we have one of the key people in the development of our country here for an interview today. That person is Alexander Hamilton. So Hamilton, where did you live before you came here to America?
I had grew up on the British island of Nevis, and I am a founding father of a country here.
Also, what did you think you have accomplished while being in the United States?
Well, during my time here, some of my accomplishments were being able to serve as a delegate at the Constitutional Convention, help create the Federalist Papers, and become the Secretary of Treasury, and go into the First National Bank of our nation.
Where did you accomplish these goals and produce these ideas?
Well, the banks that I helped to create are in places like New York, Boston, and Charleston. Also, some time ago, I also joined the New York Navy.
When did you complete these amazing feats that we see you've accomplished?
I was a delegate at the Constitutional Convention during 1782, became the Secretary of Treasury in 1789, and created the National Bank in 1791.
Finally, Hamilton, why did you do all these things that you've been telling us?
Well, I wanted to create a national bank because I thought it would help boost the economy of a great nation. I also wanted to pay off all our debts because I think it will help us become responsible and make us a suitable candidate for other loans.
Well, thank you, Hamilton, and for your time today and telling
you
us about
too.
yourself and what have you done for us and our nation.
Thank you.
The Whiskey Rebellion is an uprising of farm workers in western Pennsylvania on a mission to protest a whiskey tax passed by the federal government. A known figure such as Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of our country, has spoken on this event. I know that putting down something like this, the Whiskey Rebellion, will harm our nation. As all of this happens, former President George Washington sends in state militias and negotiators to create a deal with the rebellions. The reason Alexander Hamilton is doing this is for a steady revenue. Yes, the president's cabinet is doing this for us, not himself. We are now going to Chuck Woodbourne, who is out in the fields where some farmers are protesting.
Greetings. As you can see, the farmers are going mad over whiskey.
Don't tax whiskey!
Hello, sir. Could you please tell us what you think about the American taxes on whiskey?
Yes, but make it quick. My name's Larry Zaluch.
So just tell us, what do you think about the American taxes on whiskey?
What do you think? I am angry. I work so hard to make whiskey just for it to be taxed. It's like, seriously, the government has gone mad for money.
And that's the opinion on taxes.
Don't
Jeez.
tax. We are back in the studio, and this is where we're going to talk about Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson's major conflicts right now.
Alexander Hamilton believes the government needs to be stronger, but Thomas Jefferson believes that it has too much power. It is said that Alexander Hamilton called the Constitution a shilly-shally thing, and that he shouldn't have been included in the convention.
Thomas Jefferson, serving as Secretary of State, believes that Hamilton is a widely ambitious attacking dog who would hammer his way into getting what he wanted. Therefore, Hamilton sees Jefferson as a sneaky, hypocritical someone with wild ambitions who is really good at masking it.
This all started when George Washington put the two in his cabinet.
It is now the Compromise of 1790. Hamilton won the decision for the national government to pay the state debt, while Jefferson obtained the national capital. That's it. The latest news on Alexander Hamilton versus Thomas Jefferson.
Thank you for tuning in to Newburyport News 5. In this turbulent time, Washington has given his farewell address and is not seeking a third term. What will happen next?
Yes, Da Vinci, this time is truly turbulent. Just now, the speech has ended. Let's go to the scene.
Coming in, Washington has just given his farewell address. He just left, but reports from officials from the White House tell us that it was about his views on political parties and his views on term limits. One of his most notable statements was being against political parties, which the Federalists and Democratic Republicans continue to ignore.
Yes, indeed, this farewell address might ignite tensions more, as we already see political parties forming in our new nation. Though his views on this are notably bipartisan, he said that 2 terms are enough for a president.
Could this set a precedent? Now we would like to talk about future elections and parties.
Just in, an official from the White House would like to make a comment.
Oh, hello, very nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on the show. So I just want to say on behalf of our party that we're very sad that Washington left, and we'd love to have him back. But hopefully the new president will be a great one, like Washington.
Anything else?
No, nothing else.
No Federalist Party representatives came, but the party has made an official announcement.
Yes, Shakova, here's the following statement. Washington was a great president, and we were glad we could honor him. We can have the maturity to respect Washington, unlike other people.
This is truly amazing. What could happen in the coming election year? Congress is split, and this election will decide the future of our infant nation.
That is all we have. Now we'll be back in 2 hours as we look at polls. This is Newburyport News 5.